Gary Lineker, arguably the most celebrated football presenter in the UK, is once again facing the heat from pro Israeli forces after he shared a video explaining why Palestinians' lives also matter and how they are also humans. His mistake was that while sharing a 2-minute video as his Insta story, he didn't pay attention to a rat emoji, which Zionists have used to push their victim card narrative once again. These Zionists are forever victims, even when they slaughter hundreds of thousands of Palestinians over the period of 19 months and flatten the whole of Gaza by bombing every single house, school, library, and hospital. And how are they able to have this sense of supremacy so confidently, despite committing the worst crimes in modern history? They have genocide apologist media outlets such as the BBC. I'm sorry. Hours after I praised this publicly funded British propaganda outlet for reporting objectively for a change, the organization was back doing what it does best, carrying out propaganda for the genocidal maniacs of Israel. Elsewhere, a podcaster was shutting up Nick Ferrari of the LBC on the Gary Lineker controversy. I will come to all these points in a bit, but let's look at the controversies surrounding Gary Lineker first. The celebrated former footballing hero shared a small video clip of Palestinian Canadian lawyer Diana Buttu, who was trying to explain the cancer of Zionism facing humanity. Watch the clip first.
The fact of the matter is that the Zionist movement and Zionism on the ground is the idea of creating not only a Jewish state, but at the expense of the indigenous Palestinian population. What Zionism is the idea of privileging and giving exclusive rights to one group of people at the expense of another group of people. This isn't liberal. This isn't relating to equality. There isn't a single Zionist who's able to say that they actually believe that Palestinians have the exact same rights as Israelis who are living in that country. And this is the fundamental problem with Zionism. I mean, the fact that we're trying to make a distinction between what happened in 48 and what happened in 67 is a false distinction to be making. Zionism, as its fundamental core, is the idea of privileging one group of people over another. And the way that they created a Zionist state in the first place was to expel millions, hundreds of thousands, now millions of Palestinian refugees, including my family. And the way that you create a bigger Zionist state is to do the exact same process. I think that it's important to keep in mind that between the period of 1948 and 1967, which people are sort of trying to idealize as being the great years of Israel, there were Palestinians who were citizens of that state, were living under military rule.
While sharing the video posted by a user, Gary didn't notice the rat emoji, which was apparently used in the Nazi Germany to refer to Jews to portray them as a source of filth and disease. As soon as Gary realized his mistake, he deleted the post and issued an apology. He said, and I quote, "On Instagram, I reposted material which I have since learned contained offensive references. I very much regret these references. I would never knowingly share anything anti-Semitic. It goes against everything I believe in." The post was removed as soon as I became aware of the issue. Whilst I strongly believe in the importance of speaking out on humanitarian issues, including the tragedy unfolding in Gaza, I also know that how we do so matters. End quote. But Zionists weren't satisfied with this apology. Why would they? Gary Lineker has been their most prized target for years. They know that if they can succeed in getting Gary Lineker sacked from the BBC, they can virtually demolish anyone. That means they can suppress any media person's voice against Israel and its atrocities. It's as simple as that. Now, there are reports that the BBC has capitulated and is considering parting ways with Gary Lineker. The topic dominated the conversation across social media and also on LBC radio, where presenter Nick Ferrari too thought Gary had no business in highlighting the Israeli atrocities against Palestinians since he worked for the BBC. I mean, a host of BBC presenters can push Israeli propaganda day in and day out and protect Israelis for their war crimes against humanity, but Gary cannot speak against the genocide. What a flipping, twisted, and morally corrupt society we have become. Anyway, it took one podcaster, Marina Purkis, to demolish the argument made by the LBC presenter. Listen to this fascinating encounter.
Do you genuinely, in your heart, think that Gary Lineker posted that, seeing a rat and thinking, I am going to send a subtle message out that I am
No, I don't.
anti-Semitic?
No, he's not.
Right. So why are we
I've
having
had the
that
pleasure of meeting him.
conversation?
He's not
So
anti-Semitic.
why are we
No.
having that conversation? And why are we not talking about Gary Lineker's right to free speech? Nick, do you believe in free speech?
Well, respectfully, sitting where I've done and having been a journalist for 45 years, what do you think?
Okay. So he...
And being the son of a journalist,
right.
what do you think?
So, exactly.
Right.
So when you are a sports pundit, Nick, you do not forego your right to free speech. Yes, he is paid by the BBC.
Hold on.
He's made so clear time and time again that his views are his own. And while he's a sports pundit, he is also a public figure. He is a citizen. He is a human being that is seeing this genocide live streamed to us daily, Nick, and he's using his platform to speak out.
Marina, he's also, of course, been warned about impartiality or staying impartial by his employer, which is the state broadcaster that you and I have to fund.
Okay. So if he was to come out and say something about Putin being a monster for bombing hospitals, would it ruffle the same feathers?
He's meant to stay impartial. My point I'm
There
making is...
There are some things, Nick, that you cannot be impartial about. And one day we will look back, and I don't know if you're going to be here or I'm going to be here, we're going to look back at this genocide, and people might remember this conversation on LBC this morning and say how deeply pathetic that while a genocide was going on, we were debating whether a sports pundit should be allowed to talk about it. If we strip away the speech of people with a platform to speak about stuff like this, then who is going to stand up for people who are suffering?
Elsewhere, Fiona Bruce, who's had to face severe criticism for her alleged pro-conservative biases in the past, was presenting the Question Time last night on BBC One, which is watched by millions of people because it comes on BBC One, BBC's flagship channel. Her program had 3 pro-Israeli guests and 1 neutral entrepreneur. Not a single guest supporting the Palestinian cause, and yet she was discussing the topic of Israeli genocide in Gaza. The 3 pro-Israeli guests, including Labour Minister Peter Kyle, who is also the vice chair of Labour Friends of Israel in the UK. And then we had Fiona Bruce herself, batting for Israel. Not once, but twice, she interrupted to put up Israeli defense by forcefully stating how Israel would deny it was committing genocide despite choking 2.1 million population to death. Watch her 2 shameful interventions here.
Let's hear from you.
Is the British government ignoring genocide against the Palestinians in the occupied Gaza Strip?
So, it won't have escaped your attention, I'm sure. There has been a blockade by the Israeli government of food and medicines into Gaza for more than 2 months now. And the UN humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher, urged the UN Security Council to prevent genocide in Gaza. That's the phrase that he used, and accused Israel of deliberately and unashamedly imposing inhumane conditions on civilians. Israel obviously deny that. There is talk from UN-affiliated agencies of catastrophic hunger for at least 1 in 5 of the population in Gaza.
We just celebrated VE Day last week. Obviously, the end of fascism, Hitler, Nazis, and obviously that was a genocide. And the same thing is now happening to a different group of people. How can that be that we are celebrating that, but by supplying arms to Israel, how can that be?
Also, I should just point out, of course, that Israel denies that there is a genocide. They will claim that they are tackling Hamas, and that Hamas doesn't care about its population, and the people are, for Hamas, collateral damage. That is what they would claim. But there are others who do want to use that word.
So what was this second audience member saying? all she was doing was highlighting the British society's shameful hypocrisy towards victims of genocide. How was she wrong when she drew a parallel between the Gaza Holocaust and the Nazi Germany and the UK government's two polar opposite stands on both acts of barbarism? While we were marking the VE Day to commemorate the Second World War, the same people are leaving no stone unturned in justifying the genocide of 2.1 million people. I asked the BBC to explain if it was a standard practice for its presenter to add a caveat in defense of aggressor countries, adding that if she would say the same if someone accused Russia of genocide. Also, how is it impartial and objective to invite three pro-Israeli panelists with one biased presenter, but no pro-Palestinian guest? I also asked why the British public, including myself, must continue to pay the license fee when all the BBC was doing was protecting a rogue regime of war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. As expected, no response from this organization because I do not come from a powerful Zionist lobby group. They only respond to powerful lobby groups supporting Israel. The Gaza genocide has helped us see the true faces of people who we thought were civilized in the past. People who still find reasons to justify the brutal murder of children and babies, at least 100 every day, and starving 2.1 million people to death can't be human. They are evil. Unfortunately, these people went to some of the best and most expensive schools and universities in the world. Sadly, they only turned out to be depraved and sick individuals bereft of any human values. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.